got your attention now, don't I?
This is the Black Rifle Coffee Podcast.
Oh, I'm just waiting on you guys, you know? You tell me when, you know? You're the cool producer that says, in 5, 4, 3, 2, silent. No, it's silent 1, Dave. Silent 1. No. Okay, you're the producer. Make the rule. What is it? Silent 3?
Go.
Is it silent 3? No, you can't just change it. You can't tell me it's one way and then say it's not. I don't want you to cut it. I want people to see how you are gaslighting me professionally. Hi. Welcome to the show. As you can see, I'm in a good mood because of Dave, but I'm in a better mood because Natalie wore orange.
Silk.
You remind me of Sunny Delight.
I was thinking of a creamsicle, but okay.
This, what? No, I guess you're right.
Yummy.
All right. This show didn't start out weird at all. People do probably recognize you. I don't know. Have I don't think we've had you on yet.
Never.
No. Wow.
Yeah.
You've appeared in occasional photos on my Instagram.
Oh, really?
But in official capacities.
Okay.
Once on the Senate floor.
That was good.
And again, outside the halls of Congress.
Was the Senate floor with Stay School?
It was.
Okay, that was years ago. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Natalie Khawam, the attorney that has spearheaded rewriting laws in the United States over the last 3 to 4 years. What are you up to?
Working on military issues.
No. I mean, how many have you done so far?
3 bills.
That have passed.
Correct.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't even know anybody else that has one bill that they... Where do you even start with this shit?
So I'll tell you. You call me and you're like, this is an injustice, Natalie. This is what happened to me. And I look at the law and I say, yep, this is a problem. We need to change the law. So I draft a bill and then I shop Congress and I think who would be the best person to champion it, who would be the best person to co-sponsor it. And then I go and I start talking about the issue and explain to the congressmen or the members of Congress and senators why we need to change this law and why it's unfair and unjust if the law continues to go the way it does. And one of my most important passions is military rights and our service members. You know, they serve our country, yet they have the least rights in our country. Illegals have more rights. Criminals have more rights. Convicts, I mean, they could sue for anything, but anyone who's actively serving in our military has the minimal rights allowed. And that's not fair. I'm not saying, hey, I want somebody to be able to blow up a building just because they feel like it. I'm saying that they should have a right to health care, good health care, and have a right to be made whole, have some kind of legal recourse if something goes wrong. And that was the Richard Stay School Military Medical Accountability Act that we got passed. So for many years, our service members, they were, you know, if they were, unfortunately...
we're going to go into detail on this in a minute. So it's not, you're Aaron Brockovich with an M2 50 caliber machine gun.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's the fact, these are some of those ideas and things that are talked about in team rooms, in squadrons and things like that amongst military members that are like, this is horseshit. This is messed up, blah, 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 blah. But does anything ever come of it? No. Whereas over the last 4 years, you have changed the law 3 times on major things. And you and I met while you were working on the Stay School Medical Accountability Act. And let's go into detail with that. So how did you meet Richard? Like, how did this come about? And then what was your course of action from there? And then, you know, I know some of the drinking bros and people that have listened to to our shows for a long time kind of know some of the story where we met opposition in the last final yards that we had to come over, and then we eventually got it passed. But yeah, walk us through this.
Sure. So it was the middle of the night, I got an email from Richard's mother. And she said, my son is dying of cancer, is stage 4 cancer, and nobody will represent him, help him. It was a very upsetting email. And I remember forwarding it to my office, to my staff, and saying, get this person on the phone tomorrow. Let's figure out what's happening. And she did say he was a Green Beret and stuff. So all my work I do for the military is pro bono as a stuff, because they would never be able to afford me. And secondly, it was just something I feel like I need to do. So I spoke to them.
But things at this level like require somebody of that level of law, somebody that understands the Supreme Court. Like where are you operating at here?
Right. So I interned at the U.S. Supreme Court. I went to Georgetown Law. I have an MBA. I have a second master's in finance. I probably worked or studied or did something at that caliber in the world with somebody that would make a difference. So, these are, to me, colleagues that I would reach out to. And, like I say, I know people in high places and low places. When I need something done, it's going to be something I don't want on the record. I contact people that I've done favors for, and I never ask for a favor. But when I need to do when I need a favor, I reach out like you and everyone else that I say, hey, like you guys have a lot of clout in the universe, and if I need some help on getting something done, passed or something, I'm going to reach out to you. But with Richard's case, it was very upsetting, and I spoke to the mother, and she said that no one will represent him because of the Ferris Doctrine. So the Ferris Doctrine, 1950s law, Supreme Court said, if you're active duty, you cannot sue the DOD for malpractice. However,
medical malpractice.
So that was when the Supreme Court came out with that opinion. That was an opinion based on when they were in the field, when they were in theater, when, of course, a medic comes over to repair your arm in the middle of a battle and he doesn't have the different tools and gadgets and everything that they have in hospitals. However, this was over-applied, misapplied, broadly applied by the DOD on every issue, of course, conveniently, so that way they would not be able to be sued or be held accountable. So when I read the opinion and such, I was like, no, this is a misapplication of the law. Of course, I looked at the history of the cases that went before the Supreme Court, and I saw that they were, the Supreme Court said exactly what they said afterwards. And this is the first time you ever see Scalia and Ginsburg agree on something. And they said, this is an unjust law, but Congress is responsible for making laws. So if Congress thinks that this is not correct, Congress has to come out with this law. Well, 10 years ago, prior to Richard State School coming to me, there was a Rodriguez bill that came out. And Rodriguez died on camera from melatonin, I think it was a skin disease, something. He died on camera. It was very upsetting. And he had this bill that they had, and they wanted to get it passed saying that, if it wasn't during war, we should be able to sue for medical malpractice. Unfortunately, they were not successful trying to get that bill passed. So when I had to sit down and think about this and how I was going to go about this, I knew the issues, I knew the law. I'm a nerd, and I read and studied everything. So I knew where the hardship was going to be, and I knew who I was going to be able to bring on our side. So long story short, I talked to his mother. She gets Richard on the phone, and Richard and Megan, they call me, and you could tell they were kind of like beat. They were spent. He's like, yeah. Everyone tells me that we can't do anything. And I was like, look, just because everyone said no doesn't mean I'm going to say no. Try me. People only come to me for complicated situations anyway. So he said, he told me what happened. I said, I think this is a misapplication of law. However, come on in, let me meet you. He came in and, he's this big guy. My heart broke for him. Like, we got this special forces guy who's dying because some inept doctor, University of Mexico, like medical school, like things that you wouldn't even let your cat be operated by this person. It's true. The standard of care is just amazing.
I mean, I don't go to gutter doctors to get my cat operated on, but I see what reference you're making. So,
and the truth is, the history of the medicine in the military has historically not been at its best. And so it's not fair for these men and women who are serving to not have the same standard of care. So I thought it was a good policy issue too. And so I said, we're going to go to Congress and we're going to get this bill passed. I think everyone thought I was like crazy. And
no, not a single person said, "Oh, we're making a law, Natalie. We're changing a law." Yeah, that sounds perfect. Just put it on my desk.
They literally were so mean to me. Everyone said, "You're crazy. You're going to lose your shirt." Of course, I come back with something very funny with that one. I'm like, okay, let's do it. But I really believed in this. And I believe in our military, and I believe in my work ethic. And I said, we're going to do this. And so we did. I told Richard, we're going to go to DC and we're going to go speak to Congress members. And we did. And it was quite an adventure, to say it nicely. A lot of people didn't let us in their offices. A lot of people looked at us like we had three heads, but we did it together and we were a team. And we got that bill passed, thank God. And so now our active duty soldiers, members of the military, are able to file a claim if they are a victim of medical malpractice while serving. And that's, you would think, oh my God, you did so much great work. This is reasonable. How is it that was so hard to get this change? But it was, because nobody cares. If it's not happening to them, they don't care. And
100%.
I felt
if it's not in front of their face,
right,
it's not affecting their lives.
And I didn't serve.
Then it's not a big deal.
Right. And I always say this. I say to the members of Congress, look, I'm an immigrant. My parents, my family immigrated from Lebanon. We're Catholic. We're infidels. We like to wear bikinis and drink. Horrible. But why do I have more rights than our active duty soldiers? Why do I have more rights? So even when I was with meetings with our senators and stuff, I said, take my rights away. Let me give him my rights. It's not fair that I have this right and he doesn't. So I think it started causing our members of Congress to realize, wait, why does she have more rights? Why do we have more rights than the men and women serving our country? And so what I also strive to do is make it a mainstream issue. Stop making this a military issue. Start making this a human rights issue. People who serve our country are human beings. They are still, at the end of the day, they're going to eventually be discharged or they're going to go home to their family, and they need rights and protections. So that became almost a goal of mine, was to make sure that the rights and protections that I have, that you have, are the same ones that our military have. And it's not sexy, I get it. I'm not trying to get some criminal out of jail, or off. But why would I want to spend my time, my valuable time, helping people who harm people wrongfully, rape people, murder people, versus people who serve our country and give us the rights and protections that we have?
No, it's amazing. And then, so what were some of the big roadblocks during the Stay Scout bill? Like, did you initially try to send it off as an isolated bill by itself, and then it just got roped into the NDAA, or how did that come about?
So initially, because I laugh because I'm thinking how I'm going to say this nicely, Aunt Lindsay opposed it.
Miss
Remember that? Lindsey Graham.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I called Black Rifle Coffee to help. This is when you send in the
drinking
troops.
bros. The drinking bros were hard on that one.
It was great.
Twisting his arm.
Giving out his phone number, his email address. I remember going to New York and friends of mine would call me and there was like, Graham, stickers everywhere. Don't fuck with the USA. But so there was points where we had obstacles where a lot of members of Congress did not want to support this because they looked at it as floodgates are going to open up. And
I heard that a lot from some of my friends.
Yeah, that's
in politics. They were like, "Yeah, well, don't you see the floodgates?" And my argument was always yours back of, "What do you mean floodgates? Is there a flood of bad doctors amputating the wrong legs and
Correct.
These are we're talking about very, very horrible problems that happen to people. Like the horror stories that I got of the case studies that you guys had, a whole stack of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you were doing this, if you got to see even 5 of these, you were like, "Oh my God, how did this happen?"
Right.
Wrong leg amputations, completely wrong surgeries, removing organs accidentally.
Remember Jordan Way, Susie Way, and Dana Way, their son Jordan? He had a ordinary shoulder surgery,
with his
and he died. They overdosed him on pain meds and stuff. I mean, like, it was. You see these tragic cases, and you're just like, how do you screw up? Look, everyone knows when you're going to the military, you're fit for duty, right? So it's not like we're talking about some 70-year-old person who has prior heart conditions. You don't have those issues. There's no comorbidities there. There is a healthy person who all of a sudden gets seen by some really unfortunate surgeon or doctor that shouldn't be practicing, and all of a sudden they're dying, or somebody loses their son or daughter or their loved one, and they're being told, sorry, you can't do anything about it. So to me, it was just a wrong thing. And when we talk about floodgates, by the way, and I get it, the trial lawyers thing. But when you're regurgitating something like floodgates, it annoys me. Come up with something original, right? First of all, and I said this to one senator, as all due respect, if you're worried about floodgates, why not hold the gates up for inmates, illegals with floodgates? Why are we saying they could sue for medical malpractice, but our military members can't? Hold those gates up for them. We should start not from the bottom,
but people have to
top.
understand that this is how it's written. If you get a botched surgery as a prison inmate, you can sue for medical malpractice. If you get a bad surgery as a military member, you're not allowed to.
Correct. Did that make any sense to you? Oh, thanks for murdering someone, and here's $100,000 for your pain. What? But now they can. So now we have the right. Now our military has the right to file a claim, pursue a claim. The DOD is saying the average claim that they're paying is $1.1 million.
And are the floodgates? Are there floodgates? Or
it's not enough. It's not enough to me. $1.1 million. I'm not going to say any names that I think of out there, but there's a lot of criminals and inmates that die, and they're getting double, 20 million, 27 million to be exact, out there for their pain and suffering. So even though it's not,
these are specific cases that you've seen go through.
Yes.
The medical malpractice
cases. It
cases.
pains me to see somebody who murdered someone get paid more than somebody who didn't.
No, that is just wrong.
Right. Let's put the floodgates up for those people.
Okay.
So now we're at a good chapter in history.
It passes in 2019.
Yes.
You guys have
President Trump signed it into law.
Specific window, because they're doing this in kind of a tiered phase.
Correct.
You have to have specific evidence and timelines.
Well,
and
we
things
do
like
all that work for them.
Yeah.
So I don't expect anyone to know how to file this claim or do this. But what we do is we get, your DD-214, everything like that. I literally am speaking to members of Congress on a daily basis, talking about who's are being settled, who's aren't being settled, where the DOD is on it. They're still doing the regs and stuff. So I always say I'm not finished until everybody is happy. So I'm continuing to work on these matters, again, with members of Congress, with the DOD, meet with the General Counsel's office at the Pentagon, and, making sure that what we intended is going to happen here. So nothing's finalized. The final rules are not out yet. The interim rules did come out, which means that they can pay these victims. So we're going through the process. This is the first year that we're seeing members of our military being paid for injuries that they suffered from medical military malpractice.
Oh, that's amazing. And then the second that was done, you didn't sleep. No. You picked up another monster. Which one was that?
You want to talk about Vanessa Guillen?
Yes.
Okay.
How did you get named for this one?
So, as most people aren't, many people don't know the map of Congress and how to get a bill passed. I mean, nobody really goes to school for this, right?
I mean, there was a Schoolhouse Rock right there. When a bill becomes a law.
My brother actually just got me the T-shirt for Christmas. It was
Schoolhouse
cute.
Rock. I'm just a bill.
Yeah, it was cute. It was cute. So when I saw what happened, one of the parts of the Richard Stayskull bill that, the original bill that I drafted included negligence, because you saw the kids dying in the AVs out in San Diego.
AAVs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, when there's some kind of negligence there, sexual assault, deaths, from negligence, and including medical. So the original state school bill had all these other elements that I included in it saying you should be able to sue if this happens to you. Nobody should lose a loved one because there was such like gross negligence, with the AV. Like they know that these things aren't working and stuff. And yeah, go ahead, go in there.
It's a floating tank.
Yeah.
Nothing can go wrong there.
But sexual assault, if I don't like you, bozo, leave me alone, Just because you're not hot, it's not my problem. God hit you with the ugly stick, leave me alone, But you shouldn't have to go through that, and for both genders. But I added that, and that got stripped out of the draft language. So when Vanessa Guillen first went missing, I was like, damn, I just wish that they kept that language in the state school bill. But a lot of the families that I represent, so I represent families that are, a lot of families that live on the bases, and they're going through that military mold, the mold at these homes. That's horrible. Like not even good living
mold
conditions.
Mold in the barracks, like mold in the home.
Heck?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Can't sue. Anyway, so a lot of the families that were living at Fort Hood were contacting me that I represent, and a lot of sexual assault victims, like Erin Skellen, like you remember her, and a lot of victims were like, "Hey, can't you help this family?" And when I saw what was happening on the news and everything, I was just like, God, they're going to get railroaded. They're not going to understand, the system, the games. It would have just been the hide the ball kind of thing.
I swear, like, had you not stepped in, they would have gotten. We don't know.
Like everybody else. Like everybody else is all 25 people missing at Fort Hood. That we don't know their names and what happened to those bodies, right? Like nobody knows. Unfortunately, I just said, I'm going to focus on this family situation. I'm going to, when they contacted me, Myra, Vanessa's sister, contacted me and said, hey, I got your name from some people.
You called first.
Yeah, wow. Myra.
This is your fault.
So when Myra called me and told me what's happening, I said, yeah, I'm willing to help. I think what we need to do is we need legislation. We need to find Vanessa first, and then we're going to figure out, how to fix this from happening again. And so I flew in. I've never been to Houston or Fort Hood, and it was just new territory for me too. But what wasn't new territory is being creative, figuring out how to outsmart the problem. And so right when I thought I was going to take some time off, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't not help this family. So Myra said, how much are you going to charge us? And I said, no, I'm going to do this for free. And I mean, your sister's missing. What am I going to ask you for money? And she said, well, we just had someone call us and we were going to sign the retainer. He was going to take $50,000 of $150,000 he wanted. I was like, what? I'm in the wrong business. Oh, that's right. I am a lawyer. But I was like, what? Oh my God. Who would do that? But I guess lawyers do that. There's good lawyers and then there's the rest of them. So I flew down and I, just learned a little bit about it. I called my contacts, and hey, what's going on? What are they doing? Why are they doing this? And, and I just have a lot of just knowledge from talking to people that were higher in the military. And I call them as confidants and I'm like, hey, what do you think? Where's the missing link? What's happening? So of course we eventually found Vanessa, or her remains, unfortunately. And then after that, it was time to get some legislation in this, because what happened to her should never have happened, first of all. And secondly, I didn't like the way it was going. I felt like that guy that murdered her should never have been able to leave. He should not have been able to get the things they did to protect him. And it was during the BLM movement and everything. So I'm assuming politics had a lot to play at the time with why they weren't asking him the questions that they should have asked when they knew all signs led to him. He was the last person with her, all that stuff. So anyway, I can't get into too much of the case itself because right now the girlfriend of the murderer is going through trial. So, we still want to...
She's still facing trial?
Yeah.
As an accessory?
Yes.
Wow.
She was part of dismembering Vanessa using the machete, like the things that she did. I'm like, who does this?
Oh,
like, it was
God.
the most
And
disgusting, heinous
when does
thing
this
ever.
trial finish up?
So it's
And
just
what's she
starting.
facing?
It's just believe it or not enough. You know, with the way what she did with a soldier's body, because she's not in the military, she's just, another man's wife that he was having an affair with, really messed up person. They're having her just for concealing information, changing her accounts, trying to escape when she was caught. She tried to get away with it twice that she confessed and she tried to get her confession thrown out because she said she didn't know her rights and stuff. Well, wait, you didn't know your rights, but we were just watching, thank God for the videos. This is your rights. You have a right to counsel. Oh, I just want to get out of here. That's what she doesn't even care. And now she cares. Oh, wow. What do you know? Shocker. And she had a criminal background. So it's not like she didn't know anything about the system. So, that's in its own world, the criminal trial. We're working on, we just got the bill passed, thank God.
Which is?
The I Am Vanessa Guillen bill.
Got it.
And Jack Reed, who's now the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, Jack Reed, Inhofe, Adam Smith, and I can never remember, Rogers, okay. They were all in support of it. Bipartisan, Mark Wayne Mullen, just so instrumental, helped with the state school bill, and he was co-sponsor again with Vanessa Guillen bill, which was so important to me because I asked him, I came back to him, I said, hey, look, surprise, it's me again. And
got
he's
another one of these laws.
Just try and change law, history. But we did it. And, now we have our soldiers have more rights and protections if they go and they want to report sexual assault or sexual harassment. They don't have to go through the same person that's harassing them.
Break us down what this law now does.
All the intricacies are still being worked out with regs. But right now what it does is if you are, so supposedly like 70 to 80% of harassment assault is from the same chain of command that you have to report to. So it's kind of like, hey, Harvey Weinstein, I have an issue with you hitting on me. Can I report you? Sure, I'll take it. Put in bin 13.
Sure, got you.
I'm not going to be mad you turned me down. So right now, you don't have to go through a chain of command. It's going to be a separate entity at the DOD that's going to receive the report who doesn't have a relationship with either
doesn't know anyone there.
None.
So there's no bias.
No bias. Because there could be bias even with the commander who isn't the harasser that doesn't like this boy. Bias goes both ways.
Or the report is on someone that has a program that commander needs to pass an inspection.
Yes.
Like this goes every which way.
Right.
Like it's dirty all around.
Right. It doesn't, I get it. Everyone's like, oh, this is the way it's always been. Well, we used to piss in woods. Do we still piss in woods, people? I mean, look, just because it's always been like that doesn't mean it worked. Doesn't mean it's right. So.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
Keep
true.
going.
And so here we are. We have that bill passed. We have more rights and protections. So every day, when I sit there and think about important subjects or issues that our military faces, and, even people in general, I think how to make the world a better place. I didn't go to Georgetown so I can chase ambulances. I went there to make this world a better place. My parents were smart enough to bring us to this country, and this is my way of giving back to this country. I wish more immigrants did this, give back to the country that brought them in. So at least my parents raised me right. Yeah. And they came legally. Very important.
And now, so you're in Tampa, and what's next? What's next on the docket? You've always got something brewing.
Yeah, I do.
First, you did. I knew you threw your hat in trying to affect change with the vaccine mandates per DOD. I know that you've got some things you're working around in there. Could we see discharges upgraded? Could we see people reinstated later down the road because of the things that you guys are working on now?
I would like to see that. I don't think that there's a purpose of making someone unemployed, putting them on the street because they don't want to take this vaccine. I get both sides of the argument, by the way. I used to be head of vaccines at Children's Hospital Philadelphia, so it's not like I'm an anti-vaxxer. So I come with a real neutral view of this. But I also believe that if somebody does not want to have that vaccine, test them. That works. Test them. Because even someone who was vaccinated, like me, I tested positive for COVID literally a month later. So it's not like, you are immune. It's not like most vaccines where you're not symptomatic. So I would rather have someone tested near me and know that they don't have the COVID versus someone who's been vaccinated and not tested, because the whole point is not spreading this. And if we have to, put a fine to it. Okay, let's use a fine. Like, if you don't wear your seatbelt or you don't have healthcare insurance, you fine them. Sure, fine them if you think being punitive is the way to handle this. But to displace them from their home or make them homeless because they don't have a job. You know what? I'm a big constitutional person. That's a violation of your due process. Everyone has a right to earn a living. The way that this has been handled, and it pains me to watch our soldiers, our military, because I use soldiers a lot, sorry, our military having to call and say, Natalie, help me out with this. What do I do about this? So I'm going into these brainstorming think tank kind of situations and approaches and providing my theories and thoughts of the administrative process, because there is an administrative process here. And I really do believe later down the road, we're going to learn more about all of this. And we're going to realize, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Maybe, making someone homeless and committing suicide wasn't the way to stop this disease from spreading. And I think a lot of, I just think it was a train that everyone jumped on and there was no brakes. There was no map. There was no guidance, and everybody just jumped on this train, and it's just like it became like a hostile takeover of our country. Of if you're not with us, you're against us, and we should not handle anyone like this, let alone our soldiers. Again, who are you guys? Big deal. You just served our country. You protected our rights. You gave us the rights and freedoms that you don't have. That's my issue. Why do we treat our military like second-class citizens? And somebody needs to speak up to that for them. And that's where I feel like.
No, that makes no sense. It makes no sense that the active duty, guard, and reserve military members have limited rights on things. Like that's not fair. Like
it's not.
They're literally doing one of the toughest jobs there is with the lowest amount of pay assigned to it. And then we're now going to tell them that they don't have equal rights. Like, right. It's ridiculous.
And again, I'm not talking about equal rights like, hey, you should go and like torch a place if you don't like it. I'm talking about reasonable, normal rights and protections that don't cost anything and that are the right thing to do. And everybody says, oh, you're going to go against the Department of Defense. I'm like, well, do you know another agency that controls our military? Yes, the DOD. Well, you know that they are big. No, tell me. I know they're like $1 trillion more than I have, but you know what? I'll outwork anyone, any day. Any day. I'll clean their clock happily.
Well, apparently you've been doing that.
Yeah. But I love it. You know what? A lot of people, when they work, they don't love what they do. And I feel sorry for those attorneys out there or whoever it is that has a profession that they don't love. It doesn't feel like work for me. Like I shoot, all day long, all night long with anyone, my clients. It could be anyone. And I love to brainstorm and think about ways that are like exceptions to rules and such, or ways to help society at large. And it doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like something that most people should be well equipped to do when they are in that profession.
So what's the rollout timeline for the Vanessa Guillen bill? I am Vanessa Guillen.
So the president signed it, signed an executive order. I can't stop laughing about this. He signed an executive order a few weeks ago. And so it is out there. So they now have that right. And so, that's...
When is this agency, this third-party agency going to be stood up? Like, how is that?
They actually have a phone number now. They have all that stuff. I can get it for you. But it's out there. It's... I got to tell you, like, I'm going to give major credit to the IRC, the Independent Review Commission. They came in and they did a broad study of sexual harassment, assault in the military. My twin sister always... she always likes that attention. The IRC did a great study, and they looked at when people report what the numbers were, how they were handled, mishandled, all that stuff. And so I do appreciate the studies that were done and facilitated, because it wasn't like,
it gave us a lot of data points to
it wasn't like, this happened to Vanessa and it's an isolated incident, never happened before. There's some serious history of this.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There's some serious history.
To draft these bills and start pushing them across, these problems have to be constant, repeat,
Yeah.
repeat, because no one wants to put all this effort in passing a law that only makes sense to one incident.
Right, correct.
So you had the IRC like just start digging apart just the data behind reports, direct reports, like
they looked into so many reports and trials and martial courts and stuff.
Court martials.
And one of the girls that they had there, I should say ladies that they had there, is Megan Tokosh, super cool chick. She was also Fort Hood, and she was, she had her finger on the pulse the whole time. She knew what to look into. They couldn't hide it from her because she was in that world. And I appreciated that. So when I would talk to her and meet with her and like say, she was informing me, I was informing her. She was getting it from her military background. And I was getting it from my clients that were calling, or people wanting to be my client calling me and telling me what happened. So you're getting two sides of it, right? The reality and the history. And so it was a task. And, a lot of people, I want to say traditional people didn't like it. Oh, this chain of command's always been chain of command. We've always done things in a chain of command. And, a lot of people who just like to bang the table and how dare you think you're going to come in and change a chain. I'm not changing anything. Yeah. I'm just improving it. I'm just trying to help.
How many people got fired?
A lot. Not enough. How about that?
Yeah. Because how many? What was the kill count? It was like 9.
Yeah. I think we're actually up to 17. But whoa. Yeah. Okay. But you know what? Nobody wants to send their kid to the military knowing that there's going to be some person that just doesn't care. Because when you did your job, I'm sure you did it proudly, and I'm sure you have to be proud of your work product, and you have to have integrity. And when somebody doesn't care, like for example, let's talk about this. When Vanessa did not show up when she was supposed to do her check-in, and she didn't check in, and I guess it was like a 5 or 7 a.m., then a 12, and then a 4 p.m. Well, if she was murdered at 11 a.m., right, in the armory room, well, where was the 12 p.m. check-in? How did you not know she was missing at 12? And where was the 4 p.m.? They first said, these kids, the general, like, oh, he loves me. He said, these kids these days, they play on their phone. I'm like thinking, and I know some generals that would never come out of their mouth, right? And they're my friends. They would never say, kids these days. No, there's no option here. It's like, are stop signs optional? Sorry, it's a mandatory check-in. What part of mandatory didn't you understand? So I go, really? You're running anarchy here then, huh? And, don't tell me what an anarch. I'm like, he got all upset. And then finally, it's really, the truth is, they falsely accounted for her. How do you falsely account?
Pencil whipped it?
Yeah.
Just, oh yeah.
She's here. Yeah. Twice? Come on. So you don't make those kind of huge mistakes. I think that there was more, like I said, of a cover up, and the guy who murdered her, I think that there was just everybody was helping each other out because someone screwed up, and then everyone has blood on their hands, right? Yeah. So it was royally screwed up. But I don't think if it's a screw up or if it's done intentionally, it's not acceptable. And people should have to answer for that. And unfortunately, it's not just Vanessa that went missing. How many people, 20, 25, 40 in the last year went missing? I mean, and there's murdered or missing. And that's not even including the people who...
How many? 26?
In 1 year.
At Fort Hood?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. And that's the ones that got into the paper. How about all the other ones?
Place.
Right? It's crazy. So hopefully our work has now made that place a safer place for our soldiers. And so we don't have to worry about, they don't have to be, how about this? When I was there, it was very, I felt like it was oppressive. I felt like this general who had like this beating his chest, thinking just because he, wore these, fake gold stars that you got when you're a kid and, for attendance. He had these, I was like, can I take those stickers off of you? Give me that. So it's like, are you kidding?
You little general, you, David, general.
It was like, and that EXO thing, like EXO, do you ever have EXO chicken, EXO beef? It's so delicious. And he's like, I'm his EXO. I'm like, eat for chicken.
What?
Yeah. I was.
It's the executive officer, Natalie.
XO beef is so delicious.
I don't know what that is.
Oh my God, look it up. Go to Chinese food restaurant and order XO beef. It's the best. Anyway, so, you're talking to someone who's like a lawyer and they're like talking these like, I'm like, what? Thank God. Of course, afterwards, everyone's like, you don't know what you said. I'm like, I'm happy I don't know what I said because I was treating people the way they need to be treated. If you want to wear a dunce cap with me, I'll treat you like you're wearing a dunce cap with me. You know? I don't care how many stars and stripes. So what is this, a 4-star review? This is a poor review. You get no stars. What are you talking about? So I was really taken back by the attitude that I saw at Fort Hood. I didn't see it at any other base. And I live next to MacDill. It was just very laxy. MacDill Air Force Base, great base. You know, when I talked to the command and stuff, I was good friends with a lot of the former commanders. And I've always felt they were respectful. They loved their job. At Fort Hood, I never seen more oppressed and more just out of control. Yeah, it's like anarchy. Like I said, it was like, and I get it. It's a big base, but what does that have to do with the price of tea? It's a big base, so get more command, get more rules and regs on yourself before you tell everyone else that they can't talk. So when I was, when I went there and I was talking to a lot of the people and kids call me confidentially and they're like, ma'am, this is what happened, this is what I saw. And you're just like, what's going on down there? So again, I think, thank God we exposed it, we brought it to light. I don't know if I told you, Netflix is doing a documentary on it. It's going to talk about, the disappearance of Vanessa, the people that were, went missing. I think they talked to some of the families too. They interviewed a lot of the command and lack of command there. I felt like what we did, we improved and made that base a lot safer for the soldiers that are going there, because you shouldn't have to serve our country and be worried about, am I going to get in trouble because I saw something wrong and I wasn't allowed to report it. Rather, they should be there and be safe when they're getting ready to be deployed, not be afraid of. And again, I represent soldiers at bases all around the world. Fort Hood is the one place I got to say that I would never return to if I didn't have to.
Oh, wow.
And that says something.
Well, so now what? What's big on the docket now?
So we got the Netflix documentary coming out, and then we have the HBO Max miniseries. It's called The Whistleblower, because my law firm is called The Whistleblower. And by the way, the Sergeant First Class Richard State School Military Medical Accountability Act, that area of law, that practice is strictly military medical malpractice. And we opened up a law firm called For the Military, and it's DC based, or based in DC. And that firm strictly only focuses on military medical malpractice because of all the nuances you have with the military versus normal.
You have to know
you have to know
navigate
the system.
that
Correct.
area. Otherwise, you're just going to get boggled up in the mess.
And if I don't think that something that they've paid was fair, I always had the ears of Congress and
what is that
Senate.
Firm called? The military?
For the Military.
For the Military.
Yeah. And
so if there are people out there that have had issues, they can go
please call, because one problem is there's a statute of limitations. Yeah. And I hate when that happens. Like, I hate it where I'm like, oh, I wish you would have called me last month when you were thinking about it. Call it. It's a free consultation. And more importantly, you save your rights. For the military.
Law firm.
That's correct. And what we do is we just focus strictly on it. So my eyes are on every case. So if I see something that's not settled properly, like, oh, they're just going to give this guy $40,000. I'm like, wait. We'll see about that. Let's go before Congress. Let's have a hearing on this. No, Ms. Khawam, we're not going to do that. I'm like, no, come on out. Come on. Share this amount that you think is fair. Like, and I'm not a traditional attorney. I'm not afraid to call the press. I'm not afraid to call Congress. I'm not afraid to do that because people in Congress know my work ethic. They know my integrity. And I will stand behind everything I do, and I'll bring the press. I'll bring,
I think
everyone.
That was the difference with you guys. Like, she had the freaking press fired up. That's what got them generals tanked, was how much attention was
If somebody
on
did something to you or your kid,
100%.
do you think you want somebody who's afraid of a general?
No.
Come on.
Not at all. Well, I mean, obviously there was a lot of wrongdoings there because you don't just get fired to make it go away. There was a lot of mishandling, like you said. The initial kind of aura that you got when you showed up was like, what is
Very
going
oppressive.
on here? I mean, I remember you calling when that happened. You're like, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
You had just gotten out of there. You two were together. And I
was
remember
messed
you were
up.
like, oh, this is going to be a can of worms.
So I'll give you an example of how dumb they were, because they were messing with the wrong girl. They take us to the wrong armory room to show us the armory room of where she was murdered. you don't think I remember which army room you took me to? And afterwards I said to Myra, I was like, these people have some, like, I can't believe they're playing this game with me. Fox News, hi, how you doing? We got something to show you here. No cameras here. No, I'm like, no, if you can't bring your lawyer or a camera into an event, don't trust who you're with. That's what I always say. Don't trust the person if you can't bring a camera and your lawyer. Because otherwise, if you want everything on the record, you're not hiding anything. There's too many good people who are victims of wrongdoers. And that's where I feel like where I come in with, I hate injustices. I hate when people are wronged. And if I can't help you directly, I'm going to find someone that can. And that's how I am. You know, I feel like obligated to help people because I care about people.
No, this is great. And I know a lot of people that have been helped by you. And I'm hoping there's more out there that just didn't know where to turn. So For the Military, you have a website for that?
ForTheMilitary.com.
Woo.
Yes.
That's a mouthful. Well, please, yes. If you think that you have a case or something like this has happened to you, and
yes,
and you need help, by all means, submit it. Free consultation.
Right.
There's no risk, and we will keep up to date as to what you're doing. And I'm sure I'll get a phone call when the next law is ready to go forward.
Or us supporting candidates.
Yes,
us supporting people to make this country a better place.
That is true,
and we need to do that. You know,
big moves being made.
Yes,
both in Florida and Texas and Oklahoma.
Yes. And, you know, I just want to see, I hope that everybody, you know, when you vote for the person who supports the bill. You vote for the person who cares about our military. And, you know, you can look at their voting records. And I hope that people do that. You know, it was, you know, what I'll tell you one of the things about, and if you don't mind me talking about Mark Wayne Mullen for a minute.
Go for it.
So Mark Wayne Mullen.
I like him.
Yeah, I like him too.
Talk to him this weekend.
Oh, he's, you know, great. And, you know, a lot of, with the Vanessa Guillen bill, he obviously was so instrumental with getting state school passed because he has that close relationship with Senator Inhofe. I got to tell you, I'm not sure we would have even gotten it passed without Mark Wayne Mullen's involvement because it was, you saw, like when I was talking about Lindsey Graham was not a sponsor or supporter of it. So it became a little divided with Republicans not really being very helpful, let's put it that way, in history with supporting this kind of bill. However, Mark Wayne Mullen, real Republican man, loves our military, was like, no. I think that whatever happened prior to state school and you, Natalie, is history. We're going to change this. And he did. He was so instrumental with getting state school passed because a lot of the Republicans who were not pro it started hearing Mark Wayne support it and sponsor it. And thank God, without Mark Wayne's help, you know, how would we have gotten this bill passed where now our military has these rights? Fast forward, Vanessa Guillen. I call him up. I'm like, you know, I need your help. And initially he said, hey, you know, because every bill, when you get a bill, you need a co-sponsor, you know, so you need Democrat, Republican. He's like, call Tulsi. She's a friend of mine, whatever. So Tulsi was our first co-sponsor on it. So it was Mark Wayne and Tulsi. And of course, Tulsi got out of the race and Jackie Spear became our champion of it. But a lot of persons did not, I think sometimes when it's like a girl's name or something, people don't identify or, you know, connect. So a lot of men were like, huh? Out of command, you know, things are just, it sounds too foreign for them. Thank God Mark Wayne supported it and was like, no, if my daughter goes into the military, I don't want my daughter being harassed or assaulted or murdered while she's not even in combat. She's just, you know, working. So it was so, I really did appreciate that guy, that man for what he did, committing to the Vanessa Guillen bill and helping everyone understand it was a bipartisan supported legislation. It's not Republican or Democrat, not female, male. And
it's right or wrong on this one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're either a pervert or you're not.
Or we have a better way for the reports and everything to come in.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's my shtick about Mark Wayne.
Well, awesome. We have a lot to do. A lot more work to be done.
We do.
But thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for coming out here today.
Thank you for having me.